for years, people have been asking us to take over their social media, to put it together for them to do it, and we're actually going to do that. We've found the software systems. We're working on the content. We're working on the scheduling. We're working on the modules. So it's going to be set up to where there's module 1, the module 2, and so forth. One of the things that people have to realize is you have to get your profile set up correctly in the very beginning. That's the foundation. I did this the other day with a buddy of mine, John Kennedy, up in Oklahoma, and within about 4 hours after we got his profile set up, after we started doing some of the things that are little algorithm hacks and niche pieces, once we did that, in about 3 hours, he ended up getting 3 loans off of it in about 3 hours, starting 3 hours after we did it, and it happened throughout that day. He got 3 total that day. So we're going to do that. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about with this, and I get a kick out of this because Bethany never wants to be on, but at the same time, she has no problem going live in front of people and doing pictures and stuff like that. So, and for you guys that don't know it, Bethany kind of produces this show. She sits off to the side, and she helps me and feeds me and takes care of all the things that we're doing through this. And I'm going to ask her some questions. So this is completely off the cuff. She has no idea that I was going to do this to her. But I wanted to do this to her. So 1, it was live. 2, it was real fresh numbers that were coming out without any kind of rehearsed. So let's do one that hits extremely close to home. And before we do that, let me tell you where this came from. So at one point, had half a dozen social media people working for me. And just like anybody else, just like anything else that in any time of hourly or salaried position, people always want raises. And at one time, I had a number of them kind of gang up on me. That and no matter what, they were being compensated fairly, more than fairly. And one of the things I did is I looked at them and I said, you got to explain this to me, because if you really want to come to me and tell me for blah, blah, blah reason, whatever that may be, that you need another $1 an hour or $1.50 an hour, why have you not put forth the effort and taken the more than 6-figure education that I've given you and used that for your benefit and gone out to your friends and family and local businesses and used the information that I gave you for free and use that to not only increase your income, but very easily, you could double your income if you did. So why would you come to me asking for $1, which is equal to about $2,100 a year, I guess, as opposed to using the information that I taught you and making an extra $21,000 a year kind of thing? That's what I didn't understand. Now, I've said this to everybody who's ever worked for me. Not one of them have ever really picked it up and done anything with it except for Bethany. Bethany did. Matter of fact, I hire Bethany on her side jobs because she only works for like 10 hours a day. So there's another 14 hours a day that she can be doing something. I hired Bethany, and Bethany runs most of the social media for other businesses, for friends of mine, things like that. But she also is doing it on her own with her own clients and teaching them and working with them and helping them. And a lot of this stuff we've learned together at the same time. And most of this stuff, we learn different things every single day because everything is changing. But she's picked this up and going crazy. So here's some things I want to ask her. She's off camera. I want to ask her. So Bethany, when we first start, let's start with my stuff that I know that hits home. When we started with my son, ChefJ, when we started with his webpage, just his webpage. Let's talk about that first, because that's completely different than social media. When we started with that, what kind of traction was he getting on his website?
Before we did anything?
Before we did anything. Just like most people. Put up a website, throw it out there, and hope like hell it does something when you know it's not.
I think he was maybe getting a couple thousand hits a month, something like that.
That's what I remember. I remember looking at it, and it was, some months were 2,100, some months hit 3,000, and that's hits on his website. That is people reaching out and finding him, people searching for him, things like that. Now, at last case, now I've watched this kind of as a progression as we've done these analytics, as we've put things together to make this work better. Tell me what it is now. What's going on with that site now? And that's only been in the past less than 90 days. So let's say 60 days, 60, 75 days.
Yeah. I mean, went up to, close to 80,000 hits?
80,000 hits a month is about where it's at right now. So we went from about 2,100. And then what was the total cost to make that happen? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It cost nothing out of pocket. It was no SEO spend. It was no software spend. It was nothing. It cost nothing. And we got it from, let's say the low was about 2,100 hits after it was built and while it was sitting there. And in the past 60, 75 days, we've got it up to about 80,000 hits a month now. So what that means is, and we need to be doing this, and we haven't got to that point because, everything you need help and stuff like that. But if we were selling merchandise, if we were selling, shipping smoked briskets, things like that, then that would turn into major dollars kind of thing if we would do that. So we have got it from 2,100 up to about 80,000 hits. Now, let's talk about one that I have very little, if any, involvement with, just the stuff that I've taught you over the past, what's it been now, like 3 years?
Yeah.
Past 3 years. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your friend. Can we talk about Iris?
Yeah, we can talk about Iris.
Let's talk about Iris. Let's talk about her business, what it is, and what the difference has been in this. So correct me if I get this wrong. So Iris owns a business that you walk into the business, and I'm going to say, for lack of a better term, it's beauty and health kind of thing.
Kind of health and wellness, yeah, it's a spa.
So it's a spa. All right, so in this spa, what do they do? Give me a couple bullet points.
They do injections like Botox, they do massages, facials, float therapy.
And they do some really, as far as I'm concerned, I had no idea about some of this stuff. I'm going to call it very technologically advanced beauty things. Like, I know that they've got the micro blah blah blahs and the laser blee blah blees and all those things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Micro
channeling and all those things. So how long ago did you start working with Iris?
Maybe, I want to say January.
Okay, so let's say roughly 4 months, because we're in the middle of May, and so it's going to be 3.5 to 4 months, I guess, of true, actual hands-on.
Yeah.
All right. So if I remember correctly, when you asked me about this and brought it to me, we were talking about it. You were sitting at your desk. I'm sitting at my desk. And if I remember correctly, the biggest issue is she was getting zero internet traction and getting zero, if I remember correctly, social media traction. And as we started working on it, and this, I guess I was a little bit involved in the beginning. So I remember you sitting at your desk and looking at some of the things that she had from I'm going to say a female customer perspective, looking at what it was. And then I remember sitting at my desk and just tearing it apart on the mechanics and why and what. And I'm not going to share with what it was the problems were. I shared it with you what the problems were. You had the mechanical knowledge to go in and fix that. And if I remember correctly, it was so bad that not only could she not be found, but when you tried to find her, you ended up finding other businesses, and it was because they were hijacking her keywords, they were hijacking her key phrases, they were hijacking her what should have been her hashtags, they were hijacking her business. So what that means to you, so it makes more sense, is let's say I have a tire store, and let's say I have, I don't know, a Mexican food restaurant next to each other. Well, the tire store only sells tires, the Mexican food place only sells Mexican food. But what they were doing is one of these two stores was stealing all of the internet traction without this business knowing it. They were drawing it over here. So when people were going in and looking for tires, what they were actually coming up with, no matter what they typed in, whether it was tires, whether it was needing new wheels, flat tire, anything, a Mexican food restaurant was popping up. So that was one of the biggest things. So we started doing that, and that was just at the very beginning. We were just helping her out. Since then, you've kind of taken over their social media. You've been helping them, training them, and if I remember correctly, it's independent contractors that are sitting inside of this health and wellness center.
Correct.
And then each one of them theoretically is their own business inside of a business. Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about, tell me what's going on with that now. How many, well, I can tell you what it was. How many hits we were getting off the internet was 0.
Yeah, it was very, very few.
How many hits we were getting off of social media was 0, because they were not only hidden, they were being hijacked.
Yeah, geolocating was off.
So now what is happening, tell me what's happened in, let's call it the past 100 days. I'm going to settle on 100 days. What's happened since then?
So the traction off of the web has gone from not very much at all.
Not very much is 0 as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
because everything that was, and I'm going to say, let's say it was less than 100 hits,
Yeah.
and it was all mistakes. So that I'm going to call it 0.
Yeah. Now she's up to 5,000.
5,000 hits, 5,000 pieces of traction.
And going up almost close to 6 at this point. She's getting loads of phone calls coming in, and the practitioners that we've worked with have completely changed their business. They're starting to get booked out. It was an interesting statistic that one of them told me. It said it takes 4 years to get 4 months booked out.
Okay.
For your average esthetician, and we're starting to get there in about the last 100 days.
All right, so I'm gonna put this in terms I understand. So for most, is it esthetician? Estheticians, for them to build a book of business that's a good 4 months book of business, rolling 4 months kind of thing, it takes 4 years to get to that point. So now you have them almost to that point in about 100 days, just helping them. When you start thinking about this, 77% of all retail traffic happens on a cell phone. 92, 93% of all retail traffic is started on the internet in some form or fashion, whether it be direct to website, whether it be social media, or asking friends. So prior to 100 days ago, they were getting 0. Now, and my understanding is, I was eavesdropping on a conversation, which I'm not sorry for. My understanding is that because her business is doing so well, and because this is really, really taking off right now because of the traffic that's happening, my understanding is, what I overheard, is that she may be thinking about taking on additional retail space to expand her business into more of I know it's an old term, beauty salon, for hair and crap like that.
It's definitely opening up new possibilities. I'll say that. I will say that. It's opening up new possibilities, and she is looking at the opportunities.
Awesome. So these are some things that are possible. These are things that happen, and we've been doing this for so long, and doing it at no cost. We're actually Beth and I are opening up a side business together. One of the things that is happening on the aspect that her and I both do for our referral partners that we work with and we help. There's a specific insurance company, very large insurance company, and I think I've told you guys this before, but we're going to start helping. I think it's over 1,000 agents inside of this company. We're going to start helping them increase their business because there's a few of them. And I got to read some of the text messages and stuff from a couple of the people that are sending in this information. So some of our people have like 10 times their business in a very short period of time in the insurance business. That one person who, when I get permission to use her name, we'll tell you about her and who she is. That person has actually started trying to share and teach some of the things that we teach and share with her, and she's got people that are watching and following and listening to her now. And I got to see one the other day where one guy 6 times his business in the past 30 days just from doing some of these tips and secrets and stuff. So we're going to start sharing that with everybody. We're going to do a subscription based type setup, and I'm looking forward to that.